Welcome to Off the Roster, brought to you by our founding partner, Proline. Must be 18 plus to bet in store, 19 plus online, and for Ontario residents only. Thank you for joining us. I'm Lindsay Dunn. I'm hitting puberty right now, or I have a cold, one or the other. I will let you decide. Join alongside my amazing co-hosts, Dan Riccio and Cabbie. My guys, it's been a couple days. How are we feeling today?
Better than you sound.
Yes. I thought you were about to sell me a Krusty Burger. Oh, welcome to Krusty Burger, home of the Krusty Burger. But
Yes.
I guess not. Yeah.
What a reference. Yes, I apologize for anybody listening or watching. I feel so much better than I sound. It's just one of those things that, hey, I lost my voice a couple days ago and it's slowly coming back. But we have a lot to talk about. A lot has happened since we last had a show. The Raptors have had a bit of a roller coaster. We're not really going to ever talk about that Denver game because I don't want to. Leafs. Franchise history, Blue Jays, big news, Bo Bichette, he got married. Haha, got you guys for a second.
Yeah, well,
Congratulations.
I was like, did I miss something? What did I miss? Did they get?
Yeah.
Okay.
No,
Just
but
a
they
win.
did
Just
make
a
a move. And we will have a Blue Jays and Leafs analyst later on to break down what's been happening within those organizations. Some Blue Jays related news is that former bench coach Don Mattingly, who's with the franchise for the last couple of years, Bob Nightingale reporting that he will be a bench coach with the Phillies. And the reason why that's kind of interesting is because his son is the GM with the team. So we'll see what happens. I don't know. Donnie Mattingly. I really enjoyed him around the team.
So he's not a Nepo hire then? Like that's
reverse?
It's a reverse Nepo?
Yeah. Looking out for
Crample
that.
hire? Oh, thank you for joining us wherever it may be. I hope it's warmer than it is in the kind of blistering Toronto area. Unless you don't like cold weather, then I don't know if I like you, to be honest. Just kidding. We're keeping it too real. I'm really salty today. But let's talk about the Toronto Raptors, who tonight are hosting the Atlanta Hawks. And if you're like, what the heck? I thought they just played them. Well, they did. They played them on Saturday looking for a bounce-back win after losing to the Denver Nuggets, who were without 4 starters, eventually 5 when Jonas Valanciunas went down. Some really great moments happened throughout this game, but one of them was not defense. Raptors finally playing it in the fourth. But my guys, we didn't see defense in that first half from either team. But Sandro I'm just going to call him Mamu. Mamu.
Our guy Mamu.
Because I've made that mistake 1,000 times already this year.
Mamu
So I'm sorry, Lindsay.
There it is.
I know it. He was just 2 assists away from his first career triple-double. And Dan, we'll start with you. Where are you at with the Raptors tonight?
Well, I think the big thing with the Raptors has been all year for me, RJ Barrett, and the 15 games that he missed. You know, the Raptors plummeted to one of the least efficient offenses in the NBA, and I think it's kind of funny that RJ Barrett is one of the things that really helps this Raptors offense go, because the narrative on RJ, especially through his time with the Knicks, and he had the big microscope on him as a high draft pick, but he was a ball stopper and empty calories, empty stats. He could put up some numbers, he could put up some points for you, but it wasn't really conducive to winning basketball. And he's carried that narrative into this Raptors stint, and I think he's really shedding that right now. And I love that for RJ, because obviously he's Canadian, and it's a big part of where the Raptors could be heading as a team. 29 points on Saturday. All of his numbers, you just look at the box score, they kind of look the same, but you have to dig deep into the deeper analytics to find how much more efficient he is and how much more efficient the Raptors offense is when he is in the lineup. But the simple stat is this: when RJ Barrett is not in the lineup, the Raptors are below 500 this year. When he is in the lineup, they're now 14-6. RJ Barrett is one of the things that helps this Raptors team go, and he is part of the big 3 that they have on this current squad with Scotty Barnes and Brandon Ingram, and I want to continue to see where that develops.
Let me pick it up where you left off there, Dan. I love the high octane offense that we saw. As Lindsay alluded to, it was basically a track meet like the whole game. And like, even though New Year's Eve was 5 days ago, I think there were fireworks that were set off in Scotiabank Arena in the second quarter and in the fourth quarter. And I think Lindsay left her voice at Scotiabank Arena on Saturday because it was just both Atlanta and Toronto shot over 50% from the field in the first half. In fact, the Raptors shot 58% in the first two quarters. A few plays that I love. Okay, first quarter, Jamal Shed leads the break. Mamu dishes to Brandon Ingram. Huge jam. Toronto had a 10-0 run. In the second quarter, there was spectacular ball movement. Mamu drove, kicks it out to Colin Murray-Boyles, who passes to Colin Murray-Boyles, who finds Jamal Shed for three. Boom, another Raptors 7-0 run. 77 points in the first half. It was just spectacular. And then the fourth quarter dominance. This a stat that I saw in the broadcast. In the fourth quarter, in the last three games, Toronto held their opponents to an average of 18 points in that fourth quarter. Toronto held Atlanta to 11 points. Additionally, from that stat, the point differential for Toronto in the fourth quarter is plus 18. In that game versus Atlanta on Saturday night, Toronto was plus 16. It was just amazing. And one play that I want to highlight from that fourth quarter, Grady Dick pokes the ball away from Nickeil Alexander-Walker, who had a spectacular game. It led to a Raptors fast break. Mamu ahead to Scotty Barnes. Huge dunk. Toronto forced 8 turnovers by the Hawks in the fourth quarter alone. 23 points off 16 turnovers. This was just immaculate defense. And finally, the Raptors used a 16-0 run in the fourth quarter to effectively seal the game.
Yeah, they did.
Love that. It was just awesome in the fourth quarter and just dominant all around, specifically in that final 12 minutes, Lindsay.
I just want to know, like, where was the defense through the first half? Like, they had 41 points in the second quarter. They gave up 36 in the third quarter. And then it's just like, oh yeah, okay, we'll turn it on now. Like, now we'll play some defense. They did it against Orlando last week too, in that big comeback win. But you put it well there, Cab. I mean, as long as it came and as long as it led to the dub, they found it eventually, and hopefully they can get these things going earlier in games rather than leaving it to the fourth quarter.
Well, yeah, the fact that they held the Hawks to 11 points in the fourth and gave up 41 in the second, but their offense, you're right, like 42 points in the second they scored. I just remember looking up at the game with other media. I'm like, they have 77 points going into the half. Like, what is happening? But it's like a typical thing when I guess for the Atlanta Hawks, because they also, a lot of their games, I think against Chicago, that both teams were in the 150-point mark. You're like, all right, we are just going to score. But you know who scored the chain after the game? Mamu. And you guys know what I'm going to do. I'm going to always ask a bit of an unhinged question and post-game. So take a listen to this, because I'm curious what our chat has to say about what he did and if they would ever do it. An off-court question for you. You posted that you did the CM.
Oh, yeah, walk. That was amazing.
You spoke about your mental coach, so I'm just wondering, what's wrong with you?
I think that was the best thing I've done. Just looking down and being so high up, just trusting that rope that it's gonna hold you. It was great experience. I came down to change the man, so it was great. I really enjoyed it. I want to say thank you, CN Tower, for having me and my family and taking care of us.
Change
Get up there today, big fella. We got a game tonight. Go back up there, brother. Please.
It's one of the things you're right. Like, they'll get into habit doing something pre-game or before because they believe it brought them good luck. And I just saw that. I'm like, absolutely not. You a little bit crazy. Have either of you done the edge walk? Also, it's so cold. I understand he's bundled up, but he's like, yeah, you just trust the rope. I honestly felt like passing out when he said that answer.
Yeah, I've done it. I've done it when it first opened in 2011, I think. And it was like the new feature of the CN Tower. It's amazing. And it's so quiet up there. In fact, I did a bit once, and Jose Bautista, and this is a bit of a side note, Jose Bautista agreed to this bit once where I got him to, in uniform, walk around the Sky Dome at around 5:40 p.m. So less than 90 minutes before opening pitch. So he's eating a hot dog. I'm up there on the edge walk and I'm talking to him on my phone. You're not supposed to have a phone with you when you're up there, because if anything falls over, you might kill someone if it hits someone in the head. But anyway, and he agreed to do that bit. I'm forever grateful for Jose Bautista. But anyway, Up there, it's very peaceful. It's calm. There are actually 2 harnesses, one in your waist and one in like your chest. So it's very secure, but I recommend it. If Lindsay, it sounds like you haven't done it. Dan, I'm not sure if you've done it, but I highly recommend it.
No,
hell no.
No, I have not done it. No, I have not done it. Maybe now that I'm back in Toronto, I'm going to have to do this. So I won't do it in the winter. That seems like just madness to me that you would go out there in this sort of cold and get up to the top of the CN Tower. But I've not done it. Maybe this summer I'll figure it out. Get up there. The craziest thing I've done is bungee jumping in a quarry is somewhere near Ottawa, and that was the scariest. I thought I was going to die, because they were like stay like a pencil, stay like a pencil. I did not stay like a pencil, and I thought I was going to get tangled up in the cord. So I'm not. The heights are not the best thing for me, but we'll do the edge walk eventually.
Bro, he was like flailing.
Somewhere there's a video. I hope it never.
No.
Somewhere there's a video, but I don't want it to ever be seen. But,
I love that in the chat. Someone said that they've skydived, but they will not go on the CN Tower edge walk. And I thought about it. I'm like, you know what? There's not enough money you could pay me. It would have to be high 6 figures or 7 figures. Like, no one's going to pay me to do that. Height's my number one fear. So, Mamu, thank you for doing that. Yeah, I hope. Okay. I'm afraid of one other thing, but if I tell people what it is, they're going to send me photos, and I don't want that because it actually gives me fears.
Spiders. But, okay, let's keep going.
Yeah. Not such a positive moment, though, for a couple of players for the Raptors for the last couple of weeks. And yes, in the chat, we were not wrong. They are taking the Atlanta Hawks on again. I know it sounds crazy, but we are 1 month away from the NBA trade deadline. And I'm wondering if you have any concerns for any players or if you are optimistic and looking forward to potentially a good game. I will throw out a negative there. Ochai Agbaji, who really is not getting talked about at all. In the Hawks game, until the last minute and a half, he only played 3 minutes in the first half. This is the quickest I've ever seen him pulled out of a game. He wasn't hurt. It's not like he missed a bunch of shots, which unfortunately has been the trend for him this year after shooting over 40% from beyond the arc last season. Defensively, he has some great moments, but when you look at the three-pointer, you can have Jacoby Walters show up or, hey, put Jamison Battle in there even. Ochai Agbaji's concern also is with his salary and with the taxes and then the Raptors being over the luxury tax. So I think I would be actually extremely surprised if Ochai Agbaji was on the Raptors roster after the NBA trade deadline. I do not know what has happened with this kid this year, but his three-point percentage has completely fallen off of a cliff. So he was part of the deal that brought Kelly Olynyk and himself from Utah. Kelly Olynyk is gone. I see Ochai will not be here after the trade deadline. But Dan, what are you optimistic about or maybe a little concerned about when it comes to the Raptors rotation?
Well, the lead up to the deadline is interesting for the Raptors. Just what are they going to do? Are they going to do something big, or is it, cap related moves, as you mentioned there, Lindsay? And I think for me, the big picture question with the Raptors, not only, they probably need a big on this roster, but with the way that Emmanuel Quickley has played this year, there's questions. Could they use an upgrade at point guard? And, it's not always been the best for him. We saw last week, Jamal Shed came into the game for him, and there was that moment. Shed's been unbelievable for this Raptors team this year. It's kind of quieted concerns about Quickley and the tough start he's had through this first half of the season. So I'm curious where this goes, because the ongoing question for the Raptors is, well, how are they going to take this next step in their rebuild? And right now, I think the spotlight is slowly starting to shine on they probably are going to need an upgrade at point guard unless IQ starts to find his game and continue developing well.
I love how, RJ Barrett has responded since coming back from injury. He had like 29 points on 19 shots. And watching RJ, IQ, Scotty Barnes, and BI cook, like we need to see these guys cook for 50 games, 60 games, because they're going to win, 70% of those. We have a great core. Obviously, there are concerns with Jakob Poeltl and his back, and as Lindsay mentioned, or Dan, you mentioned, just like getting some size in the front court is probably a priority. Here's an interesting thing, too. The OKC Thunder started the season 24-1. They've since gone 6-5. So they looked invincible before, and I wonder if some front offices were like, let's just throw in the chips like this season. These like OKC Thunder with all their draft capital, young legs, they're just going to repeat. But now they seem like there's, they're battle tested, but don't seem as invincible as it did before. So I wonder now if other front offices are like, hey, we have an opportunity, whether it's to get Anthony Davis. The rumor earlier was like Anthony Davis to Atlanta or Anthony Davis to Toronto. So some teams could obviously retool. We have no idea what Bobby Webster, will do in the next month. But I say let these guys cook and see what you have for 40, 50 games in a row, or the remaining 40 games in this season. And but listen, nobody pays me to be a general manager of an NBA team. I'm not even good at 2K. So I will sit back and watch like the rest of the fan base and be entertained.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Someone brought up in the chat, thank you for joining us on YouTube underneath the Nation Network, saying that, this month will really decide what they do. It will be interesting. I think everybody on this squad, they're really nice people, and so I always hate to see somebody go, but I'm curious what they will bring in. But I will say I'm hoping it's not Trae Young. I have nothing against him, but that is a rumor out there. Yeah, he can go somewhere else, and I wish him well in his career. Like Norman Powell, former Raptor, he had an awesome walk-off interview with also Canadian Amy Audibert. She's an analyst for the Miami Heat. And he had 9 3-pointers, and he's like, I was just letting them fly. I want to see him in the All-Star game. I want to see him participate in the 3-point contest again and have a better outing. But Storm and Norman Powell, he's having a great moment. But guys, I want to switch to hockey because big talk happening around Toronto is all about the Leafs and in the NHL world. And the fact that they have a new goal daddy. That's right. Auston Matthews now is the all-time goal leader for the Toronto Maple Leafs. And if you missed it, take a look at the historic goal or, take a look or listen, whatever the proper term is. Just roll the clip, guys.
Puck at the line. It does stay in. Some good work by Domi. Now a chance. McMahon, Matthews, and there is 4:21. And the Maple Leafs have a new all-time goal-scoring leader, and they'll empty the bench to congratulate the captain.
The emptying the bench thing is just it's too much. I don't know where it started. Like it just feels like every week there's a team emptying the bench now. I don't know. Like
Dan, come on, that's a huge moment.
Come on,
it was a huge moment. It was
franchises in the sport.
This is my old man thing. Okay, this is the hill I'm going to die on. We're doing too many of the emptying of the benches. I think this could be worthy of an emptying of the bench moment, but now that it's happening so often across the league, I feel like it's lessened the value of the team emptying the bench. That's what I'll say.
No, my guy.
What's in your
this
coffee
is a record.
morning?
Yeah. Original Six
your
franchise,
espresso.
something that's been like, 2 decades it took to break, and he did it in such a quick style. I will not die on that hill with you. I will kick you off that hill so that you believe in them coming off the bench to celebrate. I love that. It honestly gave me goosebumps. What a happy moment considering how his season has went. So, Dan, I'm going to make you go with this. What are your thoughts on the fact that he did beat the record in the fashion and in time that he did?
Well, it's incredible. Like, look, Matthews is the best, or has been the best goal scorer in the National Hockey League since he showed up with that 4-goal game against the Ottawa Senators. And I know we haven't really felt it lately, and he was off to the slower start this season and didn't follow up his 69 goal season last year or a couple of years ago with another big season a year ago. And people are too focused on the playoff. I guess you can say failures, disappointments is probably the better way to put it. His game hasn't been as good in the postseason as it is in the regular season, but this is still a player who is top 5 in the history of league in goals per game. And, that top 5 includes guys who have whose hockey cards came in a pack of cigarettes, like Cy Deneni and Babe Dye, so I don't know if I really take it the same way that I would other players. It's incredible what Matthews has done. And, he could get to 600 goals before his 1,000th game. It took Ovi 990. And right now, Matthews is ahead of that pace to get to 600 before 1,000 games. It's absolutely insane. And we should appreciate just how great of a player he's been since entering the league with the Maple Leafs.
So Dan, I want to pick up on that for like a quick moment, because I'm hearing you talk about Auston Matthews. Where do you think he ranks in Leafs history? Do you personally think he's the greatest Leaf of all time so far?
Number one. I mean,
Oh,
he's got to be number one. He's got to be number one. Look, I know there's an incredible history to this franchise, but the only reason, and I know like the fan base of this team has waited forever to see a Stanley Cup being raised at Scotiabank Arena, at Maple Leaf Gardens. We're talking more than 50 years. We're talking 1967. In the expansion era, they haven't won. We all know this, right? It is worn on the hearts and the sleeves of on the faces of every Leaf fan. But you still have to appreciate that Matthews is the most talented and has been and is already grown to be the best Leaf of all time. And this record that he has reached in the time that he's reached it really proves that. Guys like Matt Sundin, incredible careers with the Leafs, also never won a Stanley Cup last time I checked. Doug Gilmour, his short run with the Leafs was incredible. Any kid that grew up through the 90s and loved the Leafs, Doug Gilmour, myself included, favorite player growing up, right? It was incredible to see what Killer did and the way that he just wore his passion on his sleeve for the franchise. But his resume with the Leafs isn't quite as good as Matthews now that we look back on it. Matthews is the only guy in the modern era that you could put as a Leaf and say, at times he's been one of the 2, 3, 4, 5 best players in the league. As good as Matz was, Hall of Famer, right? Never was a top 5 player in the league like Auston Matthews has been. And for me, in the modern era of the National Hockey League, I can't put that aside. And it infuriates me that there's a narrative because of the recency bias of the lack of success that the team has had with Matthews as captain, that they might be better off if he moves on, or because he's not always the most glowing in a post-game interview that, he doesn't want to be a Leaf and he's already planning his exit out at the end of his contract. Like, the guy has signed 2 extensions with the Maple Leafs. Do you not remember that when you're computing these things? If you're trying to walk Matthews out of town, think of what might come after. Think of all the tough years that this franchise had before looking for a player like Auston Matthews. So be careful what you wish for. Anybody that is trying to wish Auston Matthews out of town, and realize this is the best player that's ever played for this franchise.
Real quick, wasn't it kind of nuts that, 3 weeks ago, fans were like, trade the captain, either fire the coach or trade the captain. And here nuts. We are, this guy's, it's nuts. And the team has rebounded, and this guy is now the greatest goal scorer in Toronto Maple Leafs history. It's just wild how the knee-jerk reaction from fan bases or even people in the media, just like, guys, as we've done on the show, just pump the brakes. Just let the season play out. And obviously give flowers where they are due. And Dan, I think you were very eloquent in giving him his flowers, although I think Doug Gilmour is the greatest Leaf of all time. 2 back-to-back conference finals. Getting the high stick from Wayne Gretzky. We should have went to them. Anyway, we should have. Toronto.
Yeah, it's funny because I'm with Cabbie on that, because it's also a bit of a nostalgia thing. I know that I'm wrong. So if I look at the stats and all that, it's just nostalgia why I picked Gilmour, even Sittler, even though I wasn't alive when he was playing with the Leafs. It's just, you see the highlights, the stats, and he's just been around the fan base for so long. So that's not a proper reason to say why they're the best Leaf of all time. So you guys all think that he is going to get a bronze statue outside Scotiabank Arena when his career is done? That is the next question. So that's a yes?
Yeah. Him and Mitchie.
Wow.
I know that's a hot take. That's a hot take.
That's a touchy subject right now, Cab. I mean, especially with Vegas coming up on the schedule pretty soon here.
Yeah, they're the 15th or 17th or something. It's I hope they don't boo Mitch. Guys, if they
do not boo him.
I hope they
do not boo him.
Oh man. Anyway, sorry, go ahead, Lindsay.
No, it's going to happen. We're the same. We can discuss this before the game about why you should not boo him. Come on now. Maybe we'll have to boo Dan, because I feel like he may boo Mitch.
Look, you guys can have your takes of why they shouldn't boo Mitch Marner. Scotiabank Arena is going to boo Mitch Marner. It's unfortunate that that's the way that it's going to play out, but I think there is greater than 90% chance that Scotiabank Arena boos Mitch Marner.
Oh man, that's
Pissed me off already.
Anyway, okay, we'll get. I mean, I know the game's in a
We'll
couple
get
of
to
weeks.
that
Lindsay
in
mentioned.
like 10 days
Yeah.
from now or something like that. But Auston got his flowers by a full-on bench clearing to celebrate it, which we all know that Dan loved. Curious if you in the chat or anybody watching, if you think that they should clear the bench when a big moment like that happens. But Cabbie, I'm curious, like, what is exciting you about how the Toronto Maple Leafs are playing when we take a little bit of Auston Matthews outside of the equation?
Fair enough.
Or keep him in.
I want to give credit to we got to give credit to Matthew Schaefer from Stony Creek, Ontario, who was electric in that game. 2 goals from the rookie, including the game winner, which we haven't spoken about. But on the Toronto side, this is what I love about how the Toronto Maple Leafs are playing right now. The team, while the team is dealing with injuries, and most notably William Nylander missed his 4th in a row, the next man up emerges from Toronto's depth. And I enjoy watching how Nick Robertson and Nick Waugh are playing together. It's kind of fun. In the second period, there are a couple plays that I really liked. Nick Robertson had a chance in the slot. Easton Cowan finds him all alone. It was a nice save by David Riddick. But then moments later, Robertson finds Scott Laughton on the doorstep. Again, he was denied, but just playing with great energy. And in the third period, after the Islanders tied it up 2-2, a minute later, solid forecheck by the Leafs third line. Emil Heineman has a terrible clearing attempt that Nick Waugh just casually intercepts. 2 defensemen bearing down on him. It was Cole McWard and Scott Mayfield. He feeds Nick Robertson, who buries his 9th. 3-2 Toronto. I know that the game didn't end 3-2 Toronto, but I just love how Nick Robertson is playing with a lot of energy and passion and earning his minutes. And then secondly, the other thing that I like about the Toronto Maple Leafs right now, even though they've been consistent in December, they win 3 games, they lose 3 games, they win back-to-back, they lose back-to-back. And even though Toronto was without William Nylander, Brendan Carlo, and Chris Tanev, they were able to grab a point in this game. So in the last 6 games, Toronto has earned 10 of 12 possible points. And in this 6-game stretch, they're scoring over 4 goals a game. It's not ideal to lose a game on the road, but picking up a point in any rink is a positive. So those are 2 things. Nick Robertson, Nick Waugh, salute to you fellas, and salute to the squad for at least picking up a point in Long Island on the weekend.
Salute to the Knicks because they are pulling their weight right now, right? And I really like the Nick Waugh's game, actually really underrated, the way that he's started to develop, and also having Nick Robertson and Easton Cowan on his line. I like that mix that they've got going there. But one thing I'll add, and it's another third period blown lead for the Leafs, and they're doing a lot of things well right now. They're probably in the best stretch of hockey that they're playing, as you put, Cab. But they're 10-3-3 this year now when leading after 2 periods. That's 9 dropped points in the games that they've led after 2 periods. And while that record might sound pretty good, it's actually the worst in the National Hockey League with a .625 win percentage. So only one other team is under 700. That's the Pittsburgh Penguins. It's not good enough. And for a team that has to win on the margins, that's still last in the Atlantic Division, they can't be dropping points in these games where they have leads in third period. So a big task for this team in the second half is close out more of these games that they've built through the first 40.
Well, we talk about Auston Matthews taking shots, making records. You know who else is taking shots? Morgan Riley. Whether that be online or whatever it may be, he was -4 in their game against the Islanders. And Craigie B after the game saying that it was a tough one, but he's played some really good hockey for us this year. I'm not worried about it. Dan, are you worried about the play of Morgan Riley and all the shots he's taking online?
I am worried about it. Like, it is an issue for the team. It's not even just one night. And I appreciate Craig Berube sticking up for his guy and sticking up for one of his assistant captains in this moment, knowing it was a really tough night. You can't hide from it when you're a -4, when you get lit up in overtime, like when you get beat by Matthew Schaefer twice in the game, as Morgan Riley did. He's now been on the ice for a league high 47 goals against at 5-on-5. The next closest player is Oliver Ekman-Larsson at 42, and the next closest non-Leaf is at 41. So this is an issue. You cannot hide from the fact that Morgan Riley is struggling. At the same time, it's a bridge too far to say Morgan Riley deserves to be in the press box. Get this guy out of town. He stinks. Like, you're not living in reality. What you want Simone Benoit to play 25 minutes a night in the way that Morgan Riley, that's not good for Simone Benoit. That's not good for the Leafs. You want to call up Villeneuve from the Marlies, who looks pretty good, looks like a pretty good prospect, and put him into NHL ice time and think that he's going to fill Morgan Riley's boots in those minutes? No, he's not. You don't have a solution. Craig Berube knows they don't have a solution. The solution is Morgan Riley starts playing more like the Morgan Riley we know he can play like. And I think some of these mistakes, it's a guy that's lost on confidence. He's trying to do too much on the ice. You see it in overtime where he tries to help out a teammate and leaves Matthew Schaefer all alone in the slot. That's a guy that's just not making the right read. He's trying to do a little bit too much. He knows he's struggling. He's feeling that. Once Morgan Riley finds his game, he's a lot better defenseman than he's shown so far this year. And that, to me, is the best solution for the Leafs, more than, God, this idea that they're going to put – you're not going to put an assistant captain in the press box. If you do that as a coach, you risk losing the whole team, especially a guy as well-respected as Morgan Riley. It's a ridiculous take to think that the Leafs are going to bench Morgan Riley in any way. It's not a take that lives in reality. So just everybody take a deep breath and try to support Morgan Riley through this tough time.
Talk that talk, Dan Riccio. Talk that talk.
That's it. It's the truth. They need, yes, they need more out of Morgan Riley, but Morgan Riley is the solution to their problems at the same time.
You know what? I would kind of like to see him up in the box, because then he could join William Nylander, who was wearing a tank top, and people lost their absolute shit over it. I love Willie Styles. William Nylander just lives his life how he wants, and it's not offending me. And if it's offending you that he's showing his arms and he only wears white tank tops, well, you have a pretty good life if that's the biggest issue in your life. I laughed. I honestly would love this on a t-shirt. Just saying, guys. Just saying. No?
Isn't it cold up there in the press box? Like, breaks are generally genuinely cold. Did he have a space heater next to him? How did he survive this? I wouldn't be able to wear a tank top at any rate.
What was the homie sweating out up there? Like, was it like, guys missed a few games. Was there, what's in the system? Allegedly. I'm just kidding.
We need to have a floor. Like, that's, you don't have to wear a suit. I'm not going to be that guy, but like, there needs to be a floor, some kind of decorum that we adhere to.
Just wear pants.
Lou Lamoriello was freaking out when he saw that picture. Okay. And I know he's not the president or GM of the Leafs anymore, but we have to have a floor. We don't need a full on dress code, but there needs to be, like, just wear a t-shirt. That's all I'm asking. At the very least.
That photo would only bother people in the media who know what it's like to sit in the press box and know the rule about the etiquette and the decor. You can't cheer for any team. You can be respectful and clap if someone earns a milestone, but like, you can't actually, I don't even know if you're allowed to clap. Like, Auston Matthews scores 421, I don't even know if you can acknowledge that in the press row when you're working media. But so anyway, I think only people in the media were bothered by that photo. And Lindsay said it's hilarious. Like, my dude is up there in a tank as though it's June 13th, but it's
he's got two teammates up there in suits, and there he is just in a tank top. I don't know.
He's living his best life,
big fella.
Dan, I'll let you give the honor of introducing our next guest, because I think he's from the fourth period and he'll know all about whether or not he would personally wear a tank top sitting up there. I've never seen him do it, but I'll let you have the honors.
Yes, and of course with the Nation Network as well, it's David Pagnotta joining us here on Off the Roster. What's up, Pags? How we doing? Are you wearing a tank top to the press box anytime soon?
No, mainly because it is cold up there. It's one of the coldest press boxes in the league. So personally, no, that's not my choice. But Willie doesn't give a crap about anybody's thoughts. Well, we know. Yeah, this dude is. If he could go shirtless up there, he probably would have.
I'm thinking he might go mesh tank top next game if there is a next game.
Wow.
He's sitting up there like, we'll see how we'll react. But we appreciate you joining us. Oh my gosh! Honestly,
that would not surprise
me. Just wear pants, I think, is just where we're at in this life. But hey, David, question. Thank you for joining us this morning. Yeah. But you broke some news about Chris Tanev, who just has had a rough go when it comes to injuries. For those who did not see your tweet, can you kind of give an update on what is surrounding him and his latest injury?
Yeah, he's been dealing with obviously a few things this season, and basically what it's coming down to now is that he's going to have surgery on one of the issues that's bothering him. He's actually going to be meeting with a surgeon over the next week to determine what next steps they need to take. And if it's believed that it's likely going in this direction, but if they do choose to move forward with the surgery that he needs, that's going to put him out of the lineup until the end of April / beginning of May. So the Leafs are preparing for the fact that he's going to be out pretty much that period of time, assuming that they are moving forward with the surgery. So they still have to consult and make sure that this is the right step for him and for the team. But all indications are that he's going to have to go through with this. Assuming he does, his regular season anyway is going to be wrapped up, and I would imagine they'll be placing him and his $4.5 million on LTIR once they come to this final conclusion.
So the question here with the Leafs, then, they've had Carlo out. We were just talking about Morgan Rielly's struggles on defense as well. What's the solution? Is Brad Treliving in a spot where, okay, if this determination happens, am I going out and trying to find a defenseman to help us through the end of the year?
Well, he's already been looking. Even before Tanev's latest injury, which the team announced was a groin injury, they've already been looking. They've been looking for a mobile puck-moving defenseman to add to this group, which is kind of why we started to hear that they circled back at least to check in on Rasmus Andersson in Calgary. Brad Treliving has been looking for somebody on that back end and also someone up front that can slot into their top six in some fashion. The problem is, well, it's twofold. One, they don't have the cap space to make any impact additions without somebody having to leave the roster. And then the other is just finding the right assets to move in order to entice a team to send you what you're looking for. If they place Tanev on LTIR and he is done for the season, they can use up to the LTIR math has changed. It's the maximum for the full season is what the average salary of a player's average player salary, was last season, which is a little over 3.8 million. So they can't use the full 4.5, but they'd be able to utilize 3.8 for the duration of the regular season. And as we know, come playoff time, you have to be cap compliant. The lineup that you throw out there has to be cap compliant. So they could still, and any team could still be over the cap come playoff time, but whatever lineup you ice for any game during the playoffs has to fall within the salary cap parameters. So at the very least, if they wanted to look to bring somebody in to help on that back end to replace Tanev's minutes, maybe it's not necessarily a puck mover. Now it's somebody that's more shut down, but who can replace what he brings to the table. They'll have the capacity to do that within that 3.8 over the course of the regular season, and then they'll have to figure things out in playoffs. But one step at a time, they got to figure out that. As I said, they've been looking around for additional assets. They've been dangling certain guys throughout this season. We'll see what Brad Treliving ends up doing. And they have obviously some other players that are banged up as well. I will add, though, with respect to Dakota Joshua, there's been some fear that his season is over as well. I've been told that's not the case. The expectation is he's going to be back at some point this season. They're just still figuring out what his timeline actually is going to be.
That's good news for Dakota Joshua, who's had a tough go over the last last couple of years. So good news on him. And you mentioned the assets. They traded the first. They've traded all their first, right? They're for Scott Laughton and Brandon Carlo. This isn't the OHL. They can't trade a 2037 first round pick. So it's going to be tough to bring anything into the roster. The other part that I wonder about here, Pags, is shouldn't Brad Treliving just kind of let this play out and see where they're at once they get closer to the deadline and see. There's still a chance they're last in the Atlantic Division. Last I checked, there's still a chance that they might end up being sellers here at this deadline because everything's still up in the air in a wildly competitive Eastern Conference.
It is. And it doesn't mean that, just because they might have this space now that they're going to rush into making any moves. Now, GMs have to look. They've got to have their conversations, and Brad Treliving is obviously doing his due diligence to see what could happen. And he'll tell you, like everybody else, hey, if the right offer comes along and we can make a move now that's going to help us, we'll do it. But typically, things are going to be kind of pushed out. Now, what has at least changed from an optimistic perspective is the fact that they're 4-0-2 in their last 6, and things have shifted a little bit. Austin's been getting going. obviously, getting the record now for the franchise lead in goals. So there has been some positivity in the last couple of weeks surrounding this group. Can they build off that? Can they build off that momentum? When Nylander slots back in, sleeves and all, can he get going and produce kind of at the pace that he was in the first 6 to 8 weeks of the season? Can that elevate John Tavares' play as well? If those things start to move forward, then it gives them even more of an argument to add now to help their chances to make the postseason. They're right in the thick of things, but so is pretty much every team in the East. We're going to start to see, now that we've hit this halfway point, that separation in the National Hockey League. Typically, it's around now. Usually, it's a little bit sooner, but we'll see kind of how that separation goes. Can the Leafs stay at the top of that separated list? If they can, then I would be surprised if they don't at least try to make some type of addition in some capacity on this lineup.
David Cabbie here. Great to see you, sir.
You
Who
too, man.
owes Auston Matthews an apology? The Toronto media or the Toronto fans?
Everybody.
Everybody.
Everyone. Yeah, there were a lot of people that, and myself included, I questioned his ability as the season kept moving along. We got into November, and it's like, okay, well, there's another gear we just haven't seen yet. We're getting to December. Okay, well, at some point, we've got to see it. What the heck's going on here? And then, he got banged up, and then there were other injuries, and then he takes the shot off the foot, and everyone's going, okay, well, here's another excuse. It's just taken him a little bit of time, clearly, to get going, and we've seen what he's capable of in this last stretch. This last little heater that he's on is what Auston Matthews is capable of. He can take it even to another degree. I think he was kind of, these guys are human. Auston Matthews is human too. I can tell you, these guys aren't blocking out all of the noise. Some of it creeps into the room as much as they'll tell you that they're pushing it out. And, for him, I'm sure to a certain extent, he added different levels of pressure on himself. His own, whatever the team puts on him, whatever the fan base and the media puts on him. Again, they try to block out as much of that outside noise as possible, but sometimes it creeps in. Auston is a pretty calm guy for the most part. But it's nice to see him getting going here. And typically when this starts happening for a player like him, it tends to continue for a pretty long period of time. That heater stretch is usually pretty significant. And hopefully for his case, that's the case. And it shuts the rest of us up because, he's proven he's still capable.
5 goals in 5 periods is a giant STFU to everybody. So
Yes.
salute to Auston Matthews.
Yes.
Last question for you from me. Which NHL team's Player of the Game award is most impressive or awesome? And why is it the New York Islanders who give out an Iron Man helmet, bro? Have you seen this? Phenomenal. Why is this one the best? Or if not the best, top 3 in the NHL?
That one for sure. That one's up there. You see guys with the belts, and you see guys with other different things that they've implemented. Teams that have implemented this. This one's pretty sweet. There's that different element. I wonder if maybe Marvel has intertwined that into them because they've got that new Avengers movie coming out next year. So maybe maybe there's some marketing tactics tied to that.
Okay,
All right.
Creative
there. But I like it. I like that these guys are using their creative juices a little bit in these types of scenarios.
They win so infrequently, but the Canucks with the axe is pretty insane. I don't know if I would give hockey players an axe, but in any case, it's kind of a fun one.
Yeah, a lot of them are cool. Some teams have used fire helmets. Some teams have used other types of buckets and whatnot. I applaud the creativity.
A couple questions before we let you go. Thank you again for joining us. If you are listening or watching, make sure to go follow him on X on @thefourthperiod. So I sit near you on press row. If the Toronto Maple Leafs make it to the playoffs, will you wear a white tank top?
Let's go, Dave. Let's go.
Can I wear a
Gun
blazer
show.
over it? Can I wear the blazer over it? Can I wear my chains? Do I have to include? If I can include all that, then and I'll roll the sleeves up. I'll tell you what, I'll roll the sleeves up.
You know what?
Pull that off.
Amazing.
Yeah,
That
we'll
is
get a little
good
Miami Vice
compromise.
action in there.
I like that. And then we'll also get Dan there who can bring some Italian Miami Vice vibes as well. So that is happening. Really hoping this happens, guys. I need
If
this
it
in my
happens,
life.
Dan's also got to bring some espresso with him as well because we'll need that.
We'll
for
definitely
the,
need the espressos to keep warm in our tank tops and press row.
exactly.
Oh my God. I love this so much. And then it's just, surrounding this team, vibes, all this other stuff. Something that happened going into the weekend was the Winter Classic, which bit of a
Yeah.
hot take. I know you've covered the All-Star game. You've covered the Leafs when they've been in Florida. I'm pretty sure that rap behind you, for those who don't know, is probably from a Panthers game. I'm hoping that you don't have some
Stanley
weird
Cup
stuff to
final.
rap
Yep.
in your background. Okay.
Yep. It's from the Cup final. Yeah.
Okay, good. I was like, what was your thoughts and kind of reaction to where and how that happened? Like, the NHL, they're trying something new, but I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, look, optics were cool. The league's going to keep doing these things because it was sold out. So until ticket sales become a bit of an issue, they're going to keep doing this, and they're going to change it up every now and again. You've got to appease the different fan bases and whatnot. To have this one, I know it looks a little different. I think optically it looked kind of cool. I liked how speaking of Miami Vice, the Panthers rolled into town looking like they were all, cast
Love the
members of Miami
swag.
Vice. Yeah, in the Ferrari exhibit that
Yeah,
they drove
dude.
into, which was cool. Like, speaking of creativity, those kinds of things, you get to allow these guys to be creative in that regard. The Rangers came out and they're all whites. So I like that element of it. They've changed these types of events from national type of events to more localized. And you ask the people that go, I didn't get to go to the Winter Classic this year, but I'll be at the Stadium Series in Tampa in about a month. The Boston Bruins are facing the Lightning at Raymond James Stadium. So that'll have a different appeal to it as well. That'll be completely outdoors. So I'm looking forward to that. But it's for me, it's just taking in the whole experience of being there. And that's what the fans kind of appreciate the most. Obviously, it looks a little bit different, and some of the optics can be a little bit questionable on broadcast. But a lot of these events have evolved from, the big-time national sell to more localized type events. So we'll see kind of, where they go next year. They haven't announced next year's Winter Classic. We know the Heritage Classic will be in Winnipeg on October 25th. The Jets and the Habs, that'll be cool. It'll be October, so it's probably going to already have a couple inches of snow in Winnipeg. So that'll add to the vibe and be certainly optically pretty cool. But I like the fact that the league takes their chances with these types of events. And again, it was a sold out event. So until ticket sales are in question, the league's going to keep rolling the dice on some of these.
Well, we appreciate your time and your insight, and I think the world cannot wait to see you and Dan wearing tank tops in the media row for when the Leafs are in the playoffs. We appreciate your time. Thanks for your time.
You got it. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Bags.
All right, we're going to talk a little Blue Jays action because they have been busy in the offseason, and someone who could probably wear a tank top the entire Jay series because it's in the summer is Mitch Bannon of The Athletic, who joins us now. What an intro, I must say. Mitch, we're so happy to have you with us and kind of break down what has been happening in Blue Jays world. So thanks for joining us this morning.
Yeah, I'm not going to be wearing a tank top anytime soon. I appreciate that nonetheless. Maybe spring training.
I will be there. We will see. I will let the people know. But I know, Mitch, we appreciate you. And whenever I talk to you, I'm going to ask the most random things. But I might be a little tame today because Blue Jays Nation wants to know everything about who they signed and the deal they made over the weekend with Kazuma Okamoto. Maybe you will say that better. But $60 million, 4-year contract. Just what do you make of this signing for the team?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Not a guy that was particularly on my radar at the beginning of the winter, but because he's kind of he's a third baseman. A lot of scouts view him more as a first baseman, and we kind of know the Blue Jays have one of those for the next 14 years. So he's certainly not going to be playing a whole lot of first base for the Blue Jays unless some things get really, really weird. But this guy was like a superstar in Japan for a while now. He's about to turn 30, played for the Yomiuri Giants, basically the New York Yankees of the NPB over there. He was the team superstar. He's had some years where he's hit 40 home runs. More recently, he's turned into almost more of a contact guy with 25 to 30 home runs. He's got an adaptable bat. Kind of talking to some people, it sounds like he's a natural born hitter. And I know that gets thrown around a lot, but this guy has an entire career worth of mashing in Japan. And the Jays are going to see how that translates to the big leagues. There's some guys who have had a lot of success doing that lately. I think Seiya Suzuki of the Cubs is a really good potential comparison for Okamoto, but there are some guys who've also not been that successful. So I think this is going to be interesting amongst a lot of other interesting moves for the Jays. He's just going to be one of the many storylines to watch in the first month of the season or so.
Well, that's one thing I wanted to follow up with you, because the last time I saw you was during the World Series. And for those joining us, we have Mitch Bannon of The Athletic right now. Please go read anything he's ever wrote and go follow him on socials, because it is a great read. You broke a lot of news and trade news from the offseason moves that the Jays have made so far. What one maybe has impressed you the most or stood out the most?
Yeah, I think the Cease signing was kind of like the one that really got my attention, because for a bunch of different reasons. Number one, he's a Scott Boras client, and the Jays have had their kind of ons and offs in that relationship before. It seems like Okamoto, another Boras client, those two are getting along well right now. But to get a Scott Boras client, especially that early in the offseason, it kind of said a lot about the Blue Jays' direction. It said a lot about how much they liked Dylan Cease. It said a lot about how Cease clearly liked them and was impressed by their presentation. But it also showed that this offseason, the Jays were not afraid to set the market on players and certain position groups. Like we've seen them, especially you look at last year, like this was about the time of year where they signed Jeff Hoffman. A couple days later, they signed Anthony Santander, and then they signed Max Scherzer. Like they really hadn't done anything by January last year. They kind of let the market come to them. This year, coming off the World Series with top players clearly interested in kind of picking up the phone and talking to the Jays, they're willing to just put the real offer, the biggest offer out there early and get these big contracts done. And I think Cease was kind of like an early indication of that's how this was going to go for the Jays this winter.
So my big question here, Mitch, with Okamoto is like, where does he fit? Is he going to play third base? They move Ernie Clement to second. Where is Okamoto's fit on this roster?
I think that's probably the cleanest fit, is he plays a lot of third base. Ernie moves over to second. I view it kind of as like a potential playing time floor and ceiling. I think the floor is he's kind of like a platoon with Addison Barger at third base. Feels kind of like the backup first base Ty France role that the Jays had in France after the deadline. Like that's kind of the floor. The ceiling is he's your everyday third baseman, and maybe he plays a little bit of first base. Maybe he plays a little bit of the outfield too, but he's logging like 120, 130 games at third base. That would take him coming over and like immediately handling big league pitching, immediately clicking. Not saying he can't do that, but I view that kind of as the ceiling, which bumps Barger to more of like a backup third baseman and a regular in the outfield. I think the Jays right now have enough roster spots and playing time to make that work. Get a little interesting if they add another bat, who I'm sure we might talk about them doing that coming up. But right now, I think that the floor and ceiling, there's enough minutes for everyone to go around now. But there could be some interesting machinations if the Jays make another move.
Yeah, I feel like Ross Atkins is like Dennis Rodman in The Last Dance, where he's just like, the hand moving, putting this over here and that over there. And it continues if they do make some more moves in the offseason. Like, is the door closed on Kyle Tucker and Bo Bichette now that they've signed Okamoto? I think that's the biggest question on many Blue Jays fans' minds.
Yeah, everything I'm hearing is that the door is not closed by any means. I don't think Okamoto makes them signing those guys any more likely. If anything, it probably makes it less likely just because they've already spent $60 million. They have another bat, but I don't think they're out of those markets by any means. I think Alex Bregman in particular would be a bit of a tough fit now, just with like you adding a potential third baseman. He is a third baseman who has played some second, but I don't know if you're going to sign Alex Bregman and play second for the Toronto Blue Jays. But Kyle Tucker and Bo Bichette, I think the Jays will kind of continue doing what they've done in those markets all winter, which is check in, show interest, see where the dollar figure lands. Like they're in a good spot. Like I think I would argue this is already at AJ's offseason. You add Kyle Tucker or Bo Bichette, who would very likely be the biggest contract, offensive contract they've signed to a free agent in franchise history. Like I don't know if there's like a grade above A+ to give them for that, but I still think they're going to sniff around those markets. Everything I'm hearing is this Okamoto move certainly has not taken them out of those markets, which is the important thing.
Mitch, how long of an adjustment period do you or should Toronto fans give Okamoto to get comfortable, to adjust to the city, to adjust to like the elite movement from pitchers in MLB, and last time I checked, Kikuchi was in Anaheim, so there's like nobody in the organization that speaks Japanese. So this guy, how long should we give him? 3 months? Give him a year? What's your read on how, the grace period that Toronto fans should give Okamoto?
Yeah, I think from like a meshing in the clubhouse, I think he's actually going to be a pretty good fit. I've heard he's kind of a quiet guy, but is like deceptively very funny. I think that's how a lot of people kind of describe Yusei Kikuchi as well. Not that it's a one-to-one, but I think he's going to kind of seamlessly fit in this clubhouse from just like seeing some clips as well. He's like a captain type on the field and like a bit of a jokester off the field. Sounds like the perfect Blue Jay to me. But in terms of like at the plate, and like maybe this is going to be like tough to hear. Like there is a chance he just comes in and mashes. Like I'm not saying that's not going to happen, but I think you kind of got to give the guy a full year. I look at what Seiya Suzuki's kind of path was, and that was a guy who was like an all-star, a really, really good, like a 30% better than average hitter the last couple of years. His first season was not like particularly clicky. You look at Shohei Ohtani's first season as a hitter, especially that spring training. It wasn't like he wasn't the MVP beast that he is now. Like I think a lot of these guys take a full season to kind of get used to the different ball, the different movement, the higher velocity. I think the one thing Okamoto has on his side is that he kind of crushes high velocity fastballs. Like that's I think an issue that a lot of players, Murakami, the other big bat that came over from Japan, that was his big potential weakness. Okamoto's not going to have that problem. He can hit fastballs. It's just going to be everything else that he has to adjust to.
And my final question for you is, have you put together a list of dope sushi spots or Japanese spots in Toronto when you do meet him in spring training to help him get acclimated to the world's greatest city, Toronto, Ontario, Canada?
Yeah, sushi spots with Toronto Blue Jays fans kind of a sore topic given
because of the Shohei thing.
Yeah. I think I live in the West End, so there's the MSSM spot is pretty good. Maybe I'll pass it along to him. I think it's probably more likely I'll give him a couple months here, and then I'll ask him for what he thinks is legit, because I think he'll probably be able to educate me on that a little more than me.
Nice.
I
shout out
just have one more.
Quick shout out to Sushimoto at Yonge and Shepherd, and one of my go-to like hole in the wall spots, a place called Tokyo Sushi at Bay and Wellesley, a couple blocks north. But this is like a Canadian guy's sushi palette. So I might have to, like you, Rich, wait for him to give us suggestions. I'm like, didn't hear that spot. Sorry, Linz.
We'll wait for that insider information from Mitch. I can't wait for it. Mitch, I just have 2 quick questions for you. It's just, first of all, out of Ty France, IKF, Bassett, Scherzer, Sir Anthony Dominguez, do you think any of those names will return in a Blue Jays uniform?
Yeah, it's crazy that like none of the Jays like not homegrown, but like their own free agents have like not signed anywhere. Like they've signed a lot of guys, they've given guys a lot of money, but none of like the Jays actually guys. It's pretty crazy to hear that list. I think most likely I would probably put Scherzer right now. I think it's just easiest to see the fit for him. I think there's like an interesting potential where like Scherzer doesn't sign before opening day, waits until July, does like I think it's like Roger Clemens did this like maybe 20 plus years ago now. But guys have done this before where they like wait until the middle of the season, see how teams' rotations look, see how like teams' competitive windows are. I know a lot of people, and rightfully so, are connecting Scherzer to the Giants. His old college coach and teammate are now managing the Giants over there, and he's got a lot of connections over there. Hunter Mentz, a good friend of Scherzer's, the Jays' old assistant hitting coach, is over there now. I think that's a very real possibility, but I think if he does do that kind of like wait into the middle of the season thing, the Jays have an arm go down, they need a rotation spot, Max Scherzer, Toronto Blue Jay again. I think that is the most likely one.
It's interesting. We'll see what happens. I was really hoping for Seabass to come back. I'm not ruling out anything, but I saw his cryptic tweet yesterday. That's like,
I still don't know what that was
I don't
about.
Get it.
I think he's just having fun in January.
Yeah, he's fine. But I look forward to seeing you at spring training. But this year you went to a bunch of different ballparks. We're just talking about food, and I would ask Mitch about this like every trip he took. Did you have a favorite ballpark or an experience outside of a ballpark that was food related? Let us know, because we're always hungry when we do this show.
I liked the crab cakes in Baltimore. I think that was one of mine. We were there for the trade deadline. It was like 40 degrees outside. It was so hot. It was like, I was just like drenched sweat, like having to constantly check my phone every time it buzzed because it was around the deadline. And the like 20 minutes I had the crab cakes down by the ballpark there were like, it was the best part of like the 4 days I was in Baltimore. So that would be my recommendation.
Nice.
Amazing. Well, we appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us, and we'll bug you again soon, but I'll see you in spring training in just over a month. Thank you again for your time today, Mitch.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me on.
Great to see you, man.
Mitch Bannon of The Athletic. Go follow him. Go give his articles a read. He brings such great stories with personality and behind-the-scenes moments from the players. I really cannot give him enough credit, and he's such a nice person. And I hope he doesn't hear all this because I like to seem like I'm tougher than I am. But when it comes to tough,
no,
I'm not
Grandma
tough.
Lindsay is not tough on anybody. Come on, maybe your husband, but not anybody else.
Not even. Here's like TMI. Is like we've been together for like, I don't know, 12 or 13 years. I think we've had like one almost fight because like I really don't like arguing with people. But anyways, what's tough is making a 416, a 416 Pro Line pick. Let's see what you guys have, because when watching your favorite sports, make things interesting. With Pro Line, you must be 18 plus to bet in store, 19 plus online. And to bet with Pro Line Plus, you must be in the province of Ontario at the time. So please play responsibly. So Dan, what's your 416 pick, Pro Line pick?
Well, we are looking at the Raptors and Hawks tonight, and if the Raptors are going to make it 2 in a row over the Hawks, they're going to need RJ Barrett to keep it up. He had 29, a season high for him on Saturday. And he's just seemingly finding his form after that long injury. So I'm going with RJ Barrett over 19.5 points tonight for the Raps against the Atlanta Hawks.
19 shots for 29 points in Saturday's game against the Hawks for RJ Barrett. Feeding him the rock tonight will be Jamal Shed. I'm going with over 4.5 assists for the game for the young fella. Clutch time minutes. We know that Coach Darko trusts him. So young fella, get us 5 assists tonight in the conclusion with the Atlanta Hawks on Monday at Scotiabank Arena.
Yeah, hoping for a big W from the Raptors. We have the Leafs back in action tomorrow. Scepter's hoping to bounce back after a loss on this weekend, later this week. But with the food cut talk, it will continue tomorrow. We have a lot of NFL to talk about. We do not have time today, but I just want to bring up a photo from one of our fellow Nation Network, alumni, co-hosts, co-workers, whatever it may be. Will Liu, host of Hello and Welcome, the #1 Raptors podcast in the world. And I was sitting beside him covering the Hawks game, and he brought out this snack from his bag. I'm like, what the hell? So this, if you were listening, it's Cheez-Its.
Cheez-Its.
4 cheese flavor. And the reason I laugh so hard at this is because, no, he didn't just sneak it into the Raptors game. This was his go-to choice to sneak into a movie theater from the movie he saw right before. Guys, Cheez-Its 4 cheese flavor is an interesting take.
I kind of rate it, but like, how big is the box? Like in that photo, the box
regular size.
Are you holding?
Does
homie bring a backpack to movies? Like, how do you even, or does he have like a 3X Canada Goose parka in order to like slide it into the, like his armpit or whatnot? I'm curious as to how he sneaks it into a movie, although no one really checks, but still, like, you just can't walk into a movie theater with a box like exposed like that. You got to be a little bit clandestine, I think.
We'll have to get to the bottom of this. I just laughed. I'm like, I've never seen anyone sneak in a bottle of Cheez-Its. Also the 4 cheese flavor. That the go-to is the extra cheese Cheez-Its. But I just said, when you open it, it wafts such a scent that I would laugh for the people around. That's like, what the hell is someone eating a bag of feet? I don't know.
Yeah.
Dan, would you sneak in a bag of Cheez-Its?
Cheez-Its would not be my my first choice. No, I'd maybe go for the San Carlo Italian chips, maybe. But the Cheez-Its would not be the first choice for me. I love that they put the Italian flag on it. Like,
yes.
This makes it more cheesy that there's an Italian flag on the box. I don't even know.
Parmesan is probably on there in the flavor profile.
It's a Parmigiano Reggiano, a little pecorino, and a little bit of everything with the 4 cheese Cheez-Its. It wouldn't be my first choice. I don't know. I'm a Milk Duds guy, so that's it's a little bit off my radar.
It's peculiar.
See, and him speaking the Italian the way that he does as an Italian is why I had him introduce David, because I would have butchered his last name. And I was like, I didn't even know that's how you said it. But for the record, the worst thing I've ever snuck into a movie theater was beef jerky, and that has quite the fragrant smell.
Yes. Pungent. But like what flavor though?
Yeah.
Spicy or like a smoky barbecue? What do we
It was multiple flavors.
Okay.
One was Dr. Pepper. Do not recommend that one. There was a barbecue. There's teriyaki. It was like a variety pack from like a local butcher in Saskatchewan. Amazing, but like it was very fragrant of, wow, I have a dead animal in this bag and people can smell it. But on that amazing note, let us know what you've ever snuck into a movie theater. Let Will know that, you know, Cabbie doesn't completely hate his choice. But thank you for joining us for another episode of Off the Roster. We'll be talking Jays, Leafs, Raptors, everything Toronto tomorrow. Thanks for joining us.
Hope you enjoyed this video. If you want more Off the Roster content, make sure to like and hype this video and subscribe to the Nation Network YouTube channel.